Hello and welcome to the last Miami sports update of the 2024 year. My name is Andrew Relvas. Let's get into it. We'll start out with a bang as last night the Miami Redhawks defeated the Northern Illinois Huskies 20-9 on the gridiron in Week 3 of MACtion. The Redhawks came into action on the heels of a 5-game winning streak and looked to stay hot. Starting off, the defense took center stage as both sides traded possessions in the first quarter. On the third possession, however, Miami would find the end zone as Dylan Downing rushed in for a 2-yard touchdown, giving the Redhawks a 7-0 lead. Dom Jobin added 3 more shortly after, giving Miami a 10-0 lead after sinking a 22-yard field goal. The very next drive was the best of the night for Miami. It took 7 plays, 73 yards, in only 2 minutes, and it was capped off by the play of the night. At the 30-yard line, Miami ran a trick play that saw wide receiver Javon Tracy throw for a 30-yard strike into the end zone to the arms of Reggie Virgil for 6. Northern Illinois, however, would get a field goal right as time expired, ending the half with Miami leading 17-3. During the third quarter, it was quiet offensively, with both defenses showing up strong. Matt Salopek, Brian Agu, Ty Wise, and Eli Blakey all proved crucial in the second half. The Huskies later fought back by scoring a touchdown, but failing a 2-point try left them trailing 17-9. With NIU looking to tie it up, who else but Miami's Corey Suttle forcing a huge fumble that was recovered by Brian Agu and eventually led to another Dom Jobin field goal to give Miami a 20-9 lead. A few plays later, Northern Illinois had a chance to cut it to 8 with a field goal, but Miami blocked the try to give them a decisive 20-9 victory. The Redhawks have won 6 straight and will head to Bowling Green to face the Falcons with a chance to book their ticket to Detroit for the MAC championship for the second year in a row. Turning it to hoops, the Miami men's team was in action this past week. For the Redhawks, they've had a nice start to the year, beginning 2-1. Their most recent matchup came in Ann Arbor as they faced off against the Michigan Wolverines, a Big Ten team that's looking to do damage in March. With the Redhawks being huge underdogs, they sure fought hard in the first half. After a competitive first 20 minutes, Miami only trailed 36-44 and hit an impressive 8 3-pointers led by Cam Kraft and Peter Suter. The next 20 minutes, however, were forgettable for Miami as it saw Michigan shoot lights out from deep and play suffocating defense, leading to a lot of Redhawks turnovers. The final score was 94-67 Wolverines, but still, as a Miami fan, you can't be mad at their fight. Miami falls to 2-2, and their top contributors were Ian Elmer with 14 points, Cam Kraft, the Xavier transfer, with 13, and Peter Suter, the Bellarmine transfer, with 12. Miami next matchup will be in Florida for the Fort Myers tip-off game against the 3-1 Siena Saints. Good evening. I'm Andrew Relvas, joined alongside Jake White here for the Miami Sports Update. It's good to finally be back on campus with classes back in swing as well as sports. For Miami Athletics, this is a busy time in the fall with many sports already underway. One sport that Miami fans are truly excited for is the Miami Redhawks football team. This team is looking to impress both in the MAC and on the national stage. So far, Miami's had a tough season as they've struggled to rush out of the gate, falling to 0-2 after defeating on the road at Northwestern in Week 1, 13-6, and failing to defend home turf in the battle for the victory bell at home in Week 2 versus Cincinnati, 27-16. The game against Cincinnati was one that came down to turnovers as the Bearcats would force a muff punt fumble in Miami territory and force an interception deep in their own territory. Those 2 turnovers really would mean all the difference in this rivalry matchup. Miami quarterback Brett Gabbert shined as he threw for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 58-yard strike to Reggie Virgil and 135 receiving yards to Cade McDonald. Despite the struggling offensive numbers, it was the playmakers for the Bearcats that tipped the scale in their favor when they needed it the most. Corey Kiner led the Bearcats on the ground with 21 carries for 126 yards and 1 touchdown, along with a Xavier Henderson, who had himself an afternoon with 105 receiving yards on 10 receptions. Despite the score, this remained close up until the very end, and Miami fans should hold their heads high for this valiant effort against the Bearcats. Their next matchup will be on the road in South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this Saturday in a nationally televised contest at 3:30. All eyes will be on the Redhawks to see if a second MAC team in 3 weeks can upset the Irish at home after the Northern Illinois Huskies did it 11 days ago by a score of 16-14. It should be an entertaining matchup, and I'm sure all Miami fans are excited about the battle between the Fighting Irish and the Redhawks coming up in just a few days. Miami has a rich hockey tradition with 12 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 consecutive Frozen Four appearances, and 1 runner-up finish in the 2009 championship. Despite this rich history, the Redhawks have struggled to stay afloat in the always competitive National Collegiate Hockey Conference, or the NCHC, in recent years. After being in the Central Collegiate Hockey Conference, or CCHA, from 1982 to 2013, Miami made the jump to the NCHC in 2014, and in only their second year, Miami won the NCHC for the first time in program history, and they soon made the NCAA tournament, where most recently they fell to the Providence Friars 5-7 in the regional semifinals. Since 2015, however, Miami has fallen out as a hockey power and has struggled, going 43, 149, and 24 over the past 9 seasons, including 5 last-place finishes in the NCHC. Miami most recently finished last season with a record of 7, 26, and 3, including 1, 21, and 2 conference record. Despite these tough times for Miami, there is hope in Oxford as the Redhawks recently hired head coach Anthony Noreen in the offseason. Noreen has over a decade of coaching experience, and he most recently has spent the past 7 seasons with the Tri-City Storm at the junior hockey level. With the Storm, he absolutely found success being the winningest coach in team history, along with securing multiple championships. Noreen enters Miami hoping to bring a winning culture back to Oxford, and he has done so almost immediately by hitting the transfer portal. Some of these transfer ads that could play a big role are graduate forward Colby Ambrosia from Boston College, who was a runner-up in last year's championship game, Christophe Filion, another graduate forward and 2023 champion from Quinnipiac, and senior defenseman Connor Hutchinson, a Sacred Heart transfer who should fill in nicely on the blue line.